Okay, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to session number 315 of Kevin Reed's A Course in Miracles. Okay, we are in the Workbook for Students, Part 2, the second part of the workbook. The workbook contains 365 lessons to be done one a day. All right, to help train the mind to come inside, to leave the world for a little time. So 315, session 315, and we're on question number 6. What is the Christ? Okay. Christ is God's Son as He created Him. He is the self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well. He is the thought which still abides within the mind that is His source. He has not left His holy home, nor lost His innocence in which He was created. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. Christ is the link that keeps you one with God and guarantees the separation is no more than an illusion of despair, for hope forever will abide in Him. Your mind is part of His, and His of yours. He is the part in which God's answer lies, where all decisions are already made and dreams are over. He remains untouched by anything the body's eyes perceive. For though in Him His Father placed the means for your salvation, yet does He remain the self who, like His Father, knows no sin. Home of the Holy Spirit, and at home in God alone, does Christ remain at peace within the heaven of your holy mind. This is the only part of you that has reality and truth. The rest is dreams. Yet will these dreams be given unto Christ to fade before His glory and reveal your holy self, the Christ, to you at last. The Holy Spirit reaches from the Christ in you to all your dreams and bids them come to Him to be translated into truth. He will exchange them for the final dream, which God appointed as the end of dreams. For when forgiveness rests upon the world and peace has come to every son of God, what could there be to keep things separate? For what remains to see except Christ's face? And how long will this holy face be seen, when it is but the symbol that the time for learning now is over, and the goal of the atonement has been reached at last? So therefore let us seek to find Christ's face and look on nothing else. As we behold His glory, we will know we have no need of learning or perception or of time or anything except the Holy Self, the Christ, whom God created as His Son. Okay. So what is the Christ? Christ is God's Son as He created Him. All right, that's the term we use in the Course in Miracles. All right. The original Creator extended and there you were, the Christ. Right? He is the self we share. Right? The self with a capital S. You know, people say, they talk about your higher self and everything. And basically, this is what we're referring to, what everyone like that is referring to. The higher self, the ultimate, the offspring of the original source, united with the original source, never separated from the original source. He's the self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well. So we are all part of this one self, right? In the dream of separation, we see separate entities, right? And separate selves, right? They're all part of the one self, right? Remember, Dr. Wapnick once, half-jokingly, said that we're all, you could look at it as if we're all part of one gigantic DID situation, dissociative identity disorder. Right? We've all split off part of the same self. We're all one. And through the process of forgiveness, we reach the awareness that there was no separation, there are no separate selves, all is one. And that's the healing. When those selves come back to one. All right. The Christ, he's the thought with a capital T. He's the thought which still abides within the mind that is his source. So our source is in the mind of the one creator, God. Right? So the Christ is still in that mind. Right? It still abides within the mind that is his source. He has not left his holy home. Right? Now remember that you are ultimately the Christ, your true self. Not the disguise you're wearing. Okay? Your true self, your higher self, which is in your mind, which is in the mind of the Creator. Right? You have not left your holy home. And you haven't lost your innocence, the innocence in which you were created. We all have that vague notion that there's something wrong with me. Songs always pop up in my head. Right? John Lennon said, everybody got something to hide except me and my monkey. I believe he was referring to his addiction at the time. But he said everybody's got something to hide, and that's what we think we're doing. We're hiding our guilt, actually. He has not left his home, nor lost his innocence. Right? The Christ, he, you, abide. He abides unchanged forever in the mind of God. Right? Remember that in the text in the Course, at one point Jesus says, you are at home in God, dreaming of exile. Right? So the Christ abides forever unchanged in the mind of God. Right? Christ is the link that keeps you one with God and guarantees that separation is no more than an illusion of despair, for hope forever will abide in him. Right? And we truly believe we're separated. Right? You need to acknowledge that fact. You can't jump over steps. You know, the first thing is you acknowledge you have a problem. Right? But the Christ is the link that keeps you one with God. Right? I'm thinking of Jesus in the Gospels purported to say, I and the Father are one. Right? Which really got him into trouble with the powers that be. All right? I and the Father are one. And this is just an illusion of despair, life in this world. Right? For hope forever will abide in him. Right? We will come to the Christ, the memory of the Christ in us, and hope is waiting there for us. Right? Your mind is part of his, and his of yours. All right? And that part of the mind that remembers the Christ, right? That's the part of the mind in which God's answer lies. We have names for it in the Course. We call it the right mind, right? We call the instant of going to the right mind the holy instant. Right? We go to that memory because that's where God's answer is, with a capital A. Right? Sometimes we refer to the Holy Spirit as the answer. Right? It's all interchangeable. These are words that we have to use in the system in which we find ourselves. All right? But we go to God's answer in our mind. With all our problems, all our situations, all our questions, right? All our perceptions, we can bring them there to be retranslated, right? To be purified, so to speak. Right? He is the part in which God's answer lies, where all decisions are already made and dreams are over. Ultimately, we will reach the point where we realize that. There are no more decisions to be made. You're innocent. And so is everyone else. What do you need to know? Right? All decisions are already made. You're not guilty. And dreams are over. Right? There is no separation. The ego's gone. Dreams are over. Right? He remains untouched by anything the body's eyes perceive. So, the Christ, that part of your mind that remembers who you really are, that remains untouched by anything your senses report to you, anything that the world is telling you. Right? He remains untouched by anything the body's eyes perceive. For though in him his Father placed the means for your salvation, yet does he remain the self who, like his Father, knows no sin. Right? So that memory that Christ is in our mind for our salvation, so that we can come to it, right, for explanation, come to it for clarification, come to that part of the mind for correction. Right? Because he remains, that part of the mind remains the higher self, who, like the Father, like the Creator, knows no sin. They don't know anything about sin. They don't know anything about separation. You're all that, all right? And a bag of chips. You're all that. That's what we need to remember. That's what you're going to remember, sooner or later. home of the Holy Spirit, and at home in God alone does Christ remain at peace within the heaven of your holy mind. Right? So that Christ, that part of the mind that is the Christ, that remembers the Christ, it remembers the Christ for us. Right? We call that the Holy Spirit. That's the home of the Holy Spirit, that place in the mind. And in that place in the mind, the Christ remains at peace, right, within the heaven of your holy mind. Right? The memory of heaven is in your mind. Right? We bury it. We put stuff in front of it because we're afraid of it. You're afraid of losing this. Right? Our thought system has got us so convinced that this is this body, this persona, this personality is the end-all and be-all of existence. It's just so important. Right? Now, I'm not telling you to disregard the body. Don't do that. That's silly. Take care of yourself. Take care of your body. It's good to feel good, right? But there's something beyond it. We can use this body to get to that memory, right? To get to that place, right? Christ remains at peace in your holy mind, right? And your holy mind, this is the only part of you that has reality and truth. Everything else is a dream, an illusion, a hallucination, whatever you want to call it. Very believable, right? But that place in your mind that has the Christ, that's your only reality and truth. This is the only part of you that has any reality and truth. The rest is dreams. He says, but, he says, yet will these dreams be given unto Christ. Right? That's what we mean when we bring our situations to the right mind, to the Holy Spirit, to the Christ in you, to be retranslated, to be corrected. I'm willing to see correctly. All right. Wish I had $1 for every time I said that. All right. The rest is dreams. Yet will these dreams be given unto Christ, to fade before his glory, and reveal your holy self, the Christ. Reveal that to you at last. We keep practicing. We realize, oh, I'm projecting guilt, right? One way or the other, I'm projecting the idea of separation. And I don't want to do that anymore. All right? Help me to see correctly. I'm willing. And with enough practice, with enough doing that those quantitative shifts, as he calls them, all right, all of a sudden there's a qualitative shift. When your holy self is revealed to you at last. When you realize, you finally will realize, oh, I'm at home in the mind of God. Paragraph 4, the Holy Spirit reaches from the Christ in you to all your dreams and bids them come to him to be translated into truth. He will exchange them for the final dream, which God appointed as the end of dreams. All right. That's what happens when we're bringing those episodes in our life, those dreams, everything that happens, people, places, things, experiences, feelings, emotions, thoughts from the past, all of it. You bring it to him to be translated into truth. And you don't worry about how that's done, or what it looks like, I should say. How it's done is that you just are willing to see the correction. You're willing to see the translation, if correction is too insulting. You're willing to see the translation. He will exchange all of our dreams, everything. He'll exchange them for the final dream, which God appointed as the end of dreams. The final dream is when we're still walking around in form, but everything is reflecting the oneness. Everything is reflecting the light of love all around. All right? That's the happy dream. All right? He will exchange it for the final dream, which God appointed as the end of dreams. For when forgiveness rests upon the world, all right, and peace has come to every son of God, what could there be to keep things separate? For what remains to see except Christ's face, which is the symbol of innocence. All right. So we bring these things, everything, we bring it to be retranslated. Right? And that's the process of forgiveness. Okay? And when he says so, when forgiveness rests upon the world and peace has come to every son of God, when we've processed all our dreams and problems and all that, we've processed it all, we've had it retranslated, all right? This is what could there be, except what could there be to keep things separate? There is no more perception of separation. There's the realization of oneness. All right. And what remains to see? What else are you going to see? Except innocence, the face of Christ, your own face. All right. Realizing your own innocence, realizing that you never left the mind that thought of you. Okay? And how long will this holy face be seen? When it is but the symbol that the time for learning now is over, and the goal of atonement has been reached. All right? So how long is this face going to be seen? How long are you going to all of a sudden see the innocence? All right. And it's just a symbol that learning is over now. There's nothing else to learn. And the goal of the atonement has been reached at last. You realize you never left. You realize where you are always. So therefore, let us seek to find Christ's face and look on nothing else. Let's practice the process of forgiveness. I notice I'm projecting guilt. I want to stop that. I'm willing to see the whole thing differently. I'm willing to see the correction, the translation into truth. I'm willing to see the truth. Okay? So let us seek to find Christ's face and look on nothing else. Right? Let's really dedicate yourself to becoming aware of the truth. I'm willing to see the truth. And look, the ego sneaks up, ego thought system. It's not that the ego is separate. The ego is me in form here. But I have those thoughts that, sometimes it just comes to you. Something happens suddenly, and you have a reaction, of anger, fear. Those are the things we bring to be translated. All right? Bring them into the spiritual laundry, so to speak. So therefore, let us seek to find Christ's face, innocence, and look on nothing else. That's all I want to see, is the innocence, the truth. As we behold his glory, we will know we have no need of learning or perception. We have no need of time or anything except the Holy Self. The only thing I need is the Holy Self, my Holy Self, the Christ, whom God created as his Son. Right? Just the offspring of the original source. What else do you need? And it's with the practice of going to that part of the mind that remembers your innocence. It's holding it there for you. And any way you want to picture it, okay? Picture it as a person that you think loves you unconditionally. Right? Picture it as your favorite holy person. All right? In some traditions, there will be a picture of the guru. So you remember what the guru says. You remember being in the guru's presence. Right? Any way you want to remember it, it's good. Nobody's telling you that God looks a certain way, Christ looks a certain way. Right? They're all symbols of the unconditional love. Right? They're all symbols of the truth of who you really are. And we bring our problems, perceived problems, bring our emotions there and get them translated into truth. And then we remember that we are the Christ. We are the extension of the original. We are the extension of love. And we can bring that memory to those who have forgotten. All righty then. I'll see you in the next question. Bye.